You. Good afternoon. How are you doing, everyone? How's everybody? Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone? Everyone good? Just give me a show of hands. Everybody's awake? Yeah, everyone's awake? Good. So just to start off with, I'm going to let you know that I'm not here to motivate you because I don't believe in motivation. I'm not here to make you think positively because I don't believe in positive thinking. I think that's all a load of, I won't use the word, but guess what thank you, right? Yeah, thank you. It's bullshit, right? Because I think we're living in a world nowadays where people are, told to get inspired and get motivated and go do something. But I've got a different approach. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to try to add a bit of marketing mindset to what I'm talking about, and hopefully it will allow you to look at marketing and maybe your own life in a bit of a different way. So before I do that, let me tell you my background. My background is pretty simple. I'm from London. My parents are originally from India. My father came to the UK with no money in his pocket, just dreams. And over the years, as I was growing up, I didn't do very well at school. English failed 3 times, mathematics failed 3 times. Everybody told me I was going to be an absolute idiot. I nearly was an idiot, nearly. But lucky for me that I've got a very good family around me who, my father always said to me, don't worry about mathematics. If you fail, it's okay. Just learn how to count money, you'll be fine in life. I thought, okay, that's a good strategy. How many of you had parents like that or have parents like that that are very inspiring? Raise your hands. How many of you have got very, very strict parents right now? Raise your hands. Yeah, so it's a mix, but obviously the intention is always good. So I I left school thinking I'm not going to do anything with my life. I'll get a job, or maybe try to survive. But lucky for me, like I say, I've got very good people around me. And I keep saying that to you because the impact of your business, the impact of how you run your businesses or your life has a profound effect by the people you associate with. I was just speaking to a young lady on the back just now, and I was just telling her, what do you want to do? And she was saying, I want to do this, I want to do this. I said, that's good. Who do you hang around with? Are you hanging around with people that are far more successful than you? Or are you at the top of your list? And she said, I'm at the top of my list. I said, you'll never ever grow. So I had good people around me, people who told me the truth. They wouldn't say you can do anything. My father said, you will do nothing in your life if you don't do something. I thought, wow, okay, that's a good approach. Where everyone was saying, come on, son, you can do it. My father said, no, you won't. If you don't get up in the morning and you don't stand up, you don't get up in the morning, you're going to go to work. You're not consistent, you'll do nothing. So I came from what I call reality thinking. Look at the truth, the mirror. And today in this world of business or marketing, it's a bit of a different way of looking at things. Because on one side, you've got people. On the other side, you've got marketing. So if you look at the world today, it's changed. COVID-19, everyone thinks is the biggest pandemic that's ever happened. Not true. The world changed a long time ago. We've gone from a world of what I call internal world to a perception world. Everybody is trying to look in a certain way, behave in a certain way. Everybody is looking for validation. Everyone is looking for endorsement. And the world has changed a long time ago. What the pandemic did was that it made people wake up a little bit to look at that your life can change like this. Some people think that problems will happen to other people. Other people think that problems will never happen will always happen to me. So the challenge now is that we're living in a world of perception. And marketing has become perception. But the great thing is that the best companies in the world present themselves as reality, not perception. And I'm going to explain that to you in detail today, and in a way that's going to be fun, hopefully, maybe engage you. And if you don't understand my English for whatever reason, I hope you can feel what I'm saying, and you can get a vibe of what I'm trying to do. So I come from that area. I didn't do well at school. At 19, I started a business with my brother. Within 2 years, we're making a fortune. Like, I've got the Ferrari, I've got the house, I've got everything. And I thought my life's going to change. By the time I'm 24, I'm broke beyond imagination. I have no money, zero. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Because I thought money would make me happy. It didn't. It just gave me a nicer car to be sad in. So I'm driving a really nice car. I'm still sad or upset. And I then said to myself, what makes people do what they do? What makes someone go from nothing to somebody? What makes a great parent? What makes a great teacher? What makes a great child? What makes a great business owner? And I tried to understand the psychology and I couldn't get it. So I went on every positive thinking course you can imagine, every motivational program you can imagine. And the more I went to the motivational programs and the more I went to the positive thinking programs, the more depressed I became. And you're thinking, what? Because I would go there and they would say, you can do anything. So I'm clapping, I'm excited. A week later, I go to the real world and I realize I can do nothing. So now I'm thinking, either I'm weak and they're right. Something is wrong with me. So I go to another class and I go to another class and I go to another class. And the more I go, the more I start blaming the external world and the less I start blaming myself. Now you're probably thinking, what has this got to do with marketing? I'm going to link it in a second and you'll understand what I'm trying to say. And I hope today you will have an outlook towards marketing in a way that you've not had before. And hopefully it will make you look at the word marketing in a completely different way. So now I'm 24, I'm thinking about life and I'm thinking what makes people do, and I realized over the time I love human beings. I love understanding people. How many people in this audience have gone through a difficult time in their life but have managed to come out of it? Almost everybody. How many of you have had a perfect, happy life since you were born and you've never had a problem? Anyone? Thank God, right? Unless you're like from a different planet, you have to go through the ups and downs. But what we're finding now is that people are spending more time down. And when they go down, they don't blame themselves, they blame the rest of the world. So I looked around, I went from country to country, trying to understand why do people do what they do? What makes a Steve Jobs build an Apple? What makes someone go out there and build these pyramids? I mean, you're living in a country where the biggest, you still don't know how they are built. Doesn't that just fascinate you? That there's got to be some mindset out there that is unbelievable. So I went around the world and I came up with a phenomenal process. And I'm going to share something with you today. And I'm going to give you a web link as well later on to prove that I'm right in what I'm saying. So this is my theory, right? Now check this out. Let's see if some of you are going to think you're mad, and that's okay. And some of you are going to think, wow, that's good. So this is my theory. I think that people can never change. I think parents cannot parent children. I think people are born the way they are born. However, I think people can become brilliant versions of who they are. Let me explain. So recently, after many years of being married, I finally had children after 14 years. And I had twins, right? I had a girl and a boy. Give me a round of applause for that, come on, right? And it's a miracle watching children grow. It's a miracle. But what I don't understand is I've given my daughter as much love as my son, and I've given my son as much love as my daughter. They're born in the same environment, but they're completely different to each other. Is that parenting? Anyone? So how? How are they different? Same love, same attention, same house, same environment, they're little kids. And my daughter is like she's a sprinter. She's on fire. She wants to run around. She's running around, jumping over tables. My son is sitting there chilled, like he's some kind of gangster. He's relaxed. He gets one thing, he looks at it for a long time, and she can't sit still for 2 seconds. How? Maybe they're born that way. And you're probably thinking, what do you mean? So let me give you an example. I'm going to come around this room in a second. I'm going to look at you, and I'm going to describe your personality. Now, I'm not a mystic. I'm not. I'm just an ordinary guy, and there's no skill I've learned. But the great thing is that human beings give off behavior patterns, even when they don't talk. Each person has the ability to give behavior. So I came to a conclusion, and I'll give you a chance to test this out later, that all human beings fall into 9 categories. 9. And each category is defined by the genetics of your mother and father at that moment in time. And you're thinking, what are you talking about? And what does this have to do with marketing? I will explain that right at the end. It's going to be my punchline. So everybody is born in the way they are born. So my daughter is what I call an enthusiast so far. Or she could be a helper. She's out there, every time she gets what she comes and gives it. Want it? You want it? My son, no way. It's for him. He wants it. So I know that my son could be probably a challenger or a peacemaker. Now you're probably thinking, what are these terms? So the question is, can I talk to my daughter the same way I talk to my son? No. Because if I tell my daughter off, she'll be depressed. And if I tell my son off, he'll be rebellious. I can tell that right now. So when you're talking to your clients, are you giving the same message to all of them? Most people do. So in my case, I have something different. So I have about 5,500 coaches around the world. I even know before I do my marketing campaign who is going to buy from me. I know in advance before I run my campaign. In fact, I run my campaign knowing full well who I'm communicating with. So for example, imagine that you know the 9 types of people that exist in this world. And you run a marketing campaign that is geared towards each specific type. So for example, in my work, the helper, I'm calling it the helper, and the reformer is another type. 70% of them buy my programs. 70%. And I also know that the challenger and the skeptic don't buy my programs. So all of my campaigns are run towards the reformer and the helper. So therefore, before I run my campaign, I even know the language of that person. So therefore, when I'm talking to you, only those of you that will connect with me, if I speak your language. Now, some of you don't like jump and come around and motivation. You think, ugh. And some of you love it. Some of you are very quiet. Some of you are very active. Some of you speak very quickly. Some of you speak very slowly. Some of you are anxious all the time. You're very anxious about everything. Everything is worry, like my mother. Like constant worrier, right? And some of you don't care, whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen, like my father. Exactly the same thing, right? So now if I come up to my mother and say, don't worry, it will be okay, she will say, no, it will not be okay. It will never be okay. So I'm going to tell my mom, it's never going to be okay. She goes, really? I said, never. And then she'll get to work with me. The point I'm saying to you is that by analyzing people, you can actually discover who they are. And when doing marketing, the key is not the product. It's never the product. The key is not the way how glamorous your advertising looks like. The key is the message. It's the message. So if I come around the room, for example, right now, and I see, let me look at some people, and I'm going to see if I can analyze who you are. Just now, don't make those strong eyes and start looking at me like this, right? Because that doesn't work. But let me go to the back here, right? I see someone there. But if I come here, and I see this gentleman here, what's your name? Hameda. This is Hameda, right? Now, I can tell you right now that Hameda is a type of guy that plays, I can be straight with you. You won't get angry? No problem? Okay, good. So Hameda is the kind of guy who will not step up. He will not talk out. He's quiet. He's nervous. He will think a million times before saying anything.